Well, obviously we're excited to get back out there tomorrow. I think Wednesday's, certainly day off, I think helped us. We went on a stretch there. We played 5 games in 12 days in 3 different time zones. So, I thought our guys showed some real toughness and gave us great effort throughout the course of that stretch, and we were able to get refreshed a little bit on Wednesday. Came back yesterday. Practice was very competitive and chippy, which I like. I thought that we got a lot done yesterday. I think the one thing, and the guys know this from watching the clips. I thought Tuesday night was very, very encouraging. And again, I certainly don't want to take anything away from Miami, but I thought the only thing that we really did well was defensive rebound the ball. I thought we were a little bit of a step slow. I didn't think we had quality possessions in the first half. We were better in the second half with that. Our game plan defensively, guard and dribble penetration, some different things. We just, we didn't play particularly well. Yet you're playing down there in front of their largest student section that they've had on record, on the road, with a great crowd against a really, really, really good offensive team. And it's a 4-point game with 4 minutes to go. I don't know if we could have played, much worse in a lot of areas. So it kind of shows, I think, what we're capable of doing. I think that's pretty encouraging. And now we've just got to correct a couple things here or there, tweak a couple things, and continue to get better and improve. American obviously is a challenge. They give up 49 points a game. Within the last week, I don't know this morning, I didn't look this morning, but their KenPom ranking for tempo was last in the country. So it's a very deliberate style. And, we're going to have to be very disciplined and very detailed in what we do. They're an older team. They've got a couple fifth-year guys, fourth-year junior. They're older. They've played in the NCAA tournament. They're the preseason pick to win the Patriot League. And last year we played Boston U in the NIT in a very competitive game at Boston. And American went into Boston right before that and won by 20-plus on Boston's home floor against a good Boston team with these same guys. So they're not going to be phased at all. They're very experienced. They're older, and they execute very well. They run. The coach has a Princeton background. So you've got to be very disciplined when you guard their actions. They're very good at executing, and it'll be a really good challenge for us tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Questions?
Do you think in the last couple of games with some of the shooting struggles that the team has had,
Sure.
Do you chalk that up to just kind of early in the season, guys starting to build some
Well, you're not going to make them all. We err on the side of being aggressive for sure. And we've had some games where we've made shots, as you know, whether it's coming out against Indiana State on fire or, a couple of the home games here. We've got guys that can shoot the basketball. We didn't do that particularly well on Tuesday night. The first half, I thought some of our shot selection was just okay. Guys were anxious a little bit, wanted to play well. I thought the second half, up until the end when we started rushing, at one point there with a few minutes left, we were shooting 50%. We'll take that any day of the week. We just rushed some things there at the end because we were behind, playing time and score, trying to catch up there at the end, fouling. But I thought we were better in the second half when I looked at the film. But we're going to keep shooting the ball. I mean, that's what we do. It's what certain guys do. And my biggest thing is, as long as they're good ones, I want them to keep firing.
This team that you mentioned about how good of a shooting team they are, you guys fell behind several times, but then again, just when you thought everything was down and out, here Illinois comes back. Do you attribute that good shooting to the ability to come back from 8-9 points?
No, I attribute that to toughness. We got just some tough dudes in our locker room. They got a lot of pride. We had to fight through some things there. We just didn't play particularly well. But these dudes ain't gonna lay down now. I mean, they're not wired that way. They're gonna fight. And then I thought they fought and got back in it a couple times, and then we couldn't get a key stop or a key score. Sometimes you need a stop and a score, or score and a stop right there when you get it to one possession. We weren't quite able to do that for a variety of reasons. But I think the biggest reason they were able to do that, on the road, is just because they're wired that way. They're pretty tough.
You guys have been sharing the ball really well and piling up some assists. And I think at halftime the other day you might have had one assist or something. What was missing there?
I thought that we were over anxious. I thought guys took the first available shot at times that was, an okay shot. you know, like almost like if you were a classroom teacher, which I used to be, it's a C shot. Wasn't terrible. It was okay, but we could have worked it a little bit more to get a great shot. Could have went from good to great a couple times. I thought we did that in the second half. We were much better in the second half.
John, Ahmad and Aaron obviously have played with these guys for a long time. Is there something about still getting used to playing them on the court in real games?
Yeah, probably a little bit. Probably something I underestimate Jeremy at times because they did sit out in the last year, but they've played well already here during the season. So, I just think it was kind of one of those nights, for those guys. And at the end of the day, you've got to find ways to win sometimes when your shot's not going in. I thought we had plenty of chances to get it done defensively. And we had just couldn't get that big stop when it got close that might have changed the momentum or the outcome of the game.
So there's some anxiousness when they were shooting the ball on Tuesday night and taking shot selection and stuff like that. Why do you think there was that anxiety?
Just excited. Excited to play. You have to balance that. You can't have, I quoted Nick Saban. I really appreciated his comments in his press conference after the game last weekend, talking about misplaced emotion. I thought our guys were really ready to play, were really prepared. They were focused. They had the right spirit, the right heart, the right mind. But sometimes you've got to trust the system and that balance of, trusting one another. It's not because they're selfish. It's because they want to win. And you got to find that happy medium and that balance. And, I think all coaches are trying to find that harmony on offense. I thought we had that harmony in the second half. Unfortunately, in the first half, we didn't.
What's going through your mind, like in Miami, when you see guys like McClellan or Burnett just hitting some shots that it seems like everything's going down for them. And when there's games when you see a guy on the other team that's just kind of really feeling it, does that change anything?
Well, the first thing is, obviously you play certain guys certain ways in scouting. You guard certain things. The thing I worry about is control what we can control. Did we defend that action appropriately? Are we defending their personnel appropriately? And give those guys credit. I mean, they stepped up and made some shots. I thought that Burnett, we told our guys he was wired to score coming into the game. He had been out some games and only played a game or two there coming back. But I thought he was really impactful in the game with his 19 points. I don't know how efficient he ended up being because I think he got a lot of shots up to get those 19. But at the end of the day, I thought he really impacted the game coming off the bench for them and made some plays for him offensively.
Well, first loss of the year, what are you looking for out of these guys tomorrow in terms of bouncing back?
Well, I think the biggest thing is I was interested to see how we would be tomorrow or yesterday, Marcus. And, we were, like I said, chippy on edge a little bit yesterday, coming out of the film session, which is good. It's not surprising. I mean, those guys have a lot of pride. They've invested a lot. I think they understand it. The older guys understand it's one game. We can't get it back. We'd like to have played a little bit better. We're evaluating it on our standards, and I think they understand that. And again, not to take anything away from Miami, I thought their defense was good, the best I had seen it to this point. I thought offensively they were a handful to cover, and I knew that going into the game. And they did some great things, had some players step up, but we didn't play to our standards in particular in the first half. And that's what we focus in on, win or loss.
John Kendrick, that 90 seconds to 2 minutes he took over. Would you like to see that more? It seemed like he kind of took a step back.
Well, I thought that he took good shots throughout the game. I think he was 3 for 6. I thought, I don't know, Jeremy. We're not that type of team where it's get one guy the ball and say go get him, take him. That's not our deal. That's the beauty of our team. You even look at the stat sheet, and I told him yesterday, we have the right guys shooting the ball. I think all 5 starters got double-figure shots. None had the run there in the second half, and so we've got different guys that can score. I don't know if it's a deal where it's like, hey, Jeremy, you go be more aggressive. There's one ball. 5 guys out there. We've got, I think it's 7 DB. Is it 7 or 8 guys averaging 7.9 or better, or 8 or better? 7 or 8, whatever it is. So we're very well-rounded, and we want to continue to be well-rounded. I don't think it's a deal where different games, different guys are going to lead us in scoring. At least it should be that way. In terms of, how many, we've had multiple games now, haven't we, DB, where we've had double-figure scores, like 4 or 5 guys. I mean, that's how we want to play on offense with this team.
Coach, can you talk more about the challenges of playing against a team like American that plays such a slow tempo, both offensively and defensively?
Yeah, I think they're really sound defensively, and you accompany that with what you're saying, Brian, which is the fact that on offense, you have longer possessions. You have to be really disciplined. I mean, you could be lights out the first 20 seconds, and then all of a sudden you make one mistake and they make you pay with a backdoor layup or, a shot off a flare screen or, so you've got to be really disciplined and really tough and have a 35-second defensive mentality, because they're going to play into the shot clock, at least based on what we've seen on film, more at this juncture than anyone that we've played.
Watching the Miami game, where do you feel like you guys were?
I didn't like how I said after the game we need to guard the dribble better, Marcus. I thought that was really the thing that stood out. Other than that, guys graded out really well. I thought we defended things well. Nano will be the first to tell you it's hard because I hold him to such a high standard. I mean, like elite level, standard. So for most guys, he was pretty good. But for him, he'll tell you he had some miscues here and there. It was probably my fault because I left him out there a little bit too long. A couple times I thought he had a couple fatigue errors, and we'll have to figure that out.
John, when Nana, we should probably concede that when Nana's not on the floor, there's going to be a little drop-off at that position, but he can't be on the floor all the time. So what are you looking for from those backup fives in terms of lessening the minutes when?
Yeah, I need those guys to play better. Period. Got to play better. It's like, in baseball, you put in a middle reliever or your closer at the end of the game. I know it's a short window, and you're not going to throw every pitch a strike, but most of them need to be. You can't go in and play 2 minutes and be a donut. You've got to do something positive. Certainly not have to be perfect, but you got to throw more strikes than balls. We need those guys right now that are coming off the bench. There are reinforcements at that position and really in the front court in general, to throw more strikes than balls.
I think I know the answer to this, but it's not a point where you think of Michael yet, do you?
No, not at this juncture. He's played well in practice. He keeps getting better. He's getting stronger. He's skilled. He's got a chance to be really, really good.
LeBron and the fouling, is that something that you guys just have to keep teaching?
Yeah, he's got to get better at that. I don't like the fact we got to lessen that a little bit. Marcus, you're right. I mean, we've got to do a better job of playing harder without fouling. We were really good at that last year. I thought it was a reason why we were among the nation's best defensive teams. We've talked about that, and we're kind of a work in progress in that area as we are some other areas.
With Nana, you're talking about minutes. Ray, too. Do you worry about that at this point?
Ray had one spell there in the second half where I thought he took a tough one there out of fatigue, but I didn't notice it as much with Ray. Obviously Ray's playing at a really high level right now. Both ends of the floor, rebounding, guarding, scoring. He's played really well. He's played really well here. We got to continue to keep working with him, and he's been very, very consistent.
And a guy who's as well-rounded as he is at both ends of the court and does so many things at a high level.
It's a great question. As a head coach, I'd have to think about that. No one comes to mind. Cooper at Ohio was probably the closest, but he impacted the game by getting steals. He was a gambler. Ray's a little bit more solid, which is over the period of time, I think, what we need from him. But I'll have to think about that. But certainly, there hadn't been very many of them, Marcus. Phone lines?
John, this is Shannon Ryan. I have something a little off topic for you, so I hope you don't mind. But I'm writing about Mike Henry, who's obviously, up here at DePaul. And
Sure.
You're curious, your thoughts on how he's doing, off to a pretty good start, and just did you kind of see any of this potential in him?
Well, obviously I track all those guys because those guys, once you're in our family, you're in it kind of permanently. At least that's how I feel, So, I want those guys to do well. We'll talk about it sometimes. Some of the older guys, obviously, I'll ask him how he's doing, or not just him, but all those guys. We one night at my house, we had the guys over to the house, and we were watching Ibby on TV, and Dustin keeps me updated through his brother on how Mike Shaw's doing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I care about those guys. I want them to do well. I root for those guys. Having said that, I haven't had a chance to see him play, Shannon, just because, everything we do right now, we're locked in with a singular focus on our opponent and our own team. So I don't get to watch other games a whole lot, maybe possessions, here or there, but I haven't seen them play at all. The guys have told me about his production, and I'm happy for him and his family.
Thanks.
Sure. Anybody else?
Anything else from the phones?
Thanks, guys.